Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. A real pleasure to have you here with us at the 2025 Berlinale. Maybe you can begin with a brief intro to Fwends for people who haven't seen it yet. What can they expect going in?
So, I personally would describe Fwends as a gal pal buddy comedy that gets existential.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, but it is also like all improvised, which I feel like is important for the plot.
I mean, that was going to be my next question. I mean, there's not many films actually that I think are quite as bold as that, to be like completely improvised. Like maybe there's already a script and then there's some moments of improvisation. So were you intimidated by the prospect, or was it just you just completely just threw yourselves into it?
I was really excited by it because I trusted Sophie, and I think she's a crazy genius. And when she came to me with the idea, I was like, yeah, let's do this. It felt really fun and also like something that was really brave. And I really like to do projects that I feel like challenge me or are going to change me in some way. I always tell all my friends that doing the shoot kind of changed my brain chemistry because it was just an exercise in trust and in being like, oh, as soon as she says action, we don't know what's going to happen and there's no right or wrong. And obviously, like, she would put us in these wide shots and we could kind of just do what we wanted and the camera would follow and the story would evolve from there. And it was just really exciting.
Yeah, I was just like straight away, yes. A few years ago, before we did Fwends, I did a different short film with Sophie, and it was kind of similar in terms of how we approached it with improv. And that for me was so fun already. So when Sophie was like, oh, we're going to do this now, would you like to be in on it? I was like, yes. Like, yeah, why not?
And in terms of, creating each of the characters, I mean, what I love is at the beginning, they're so contrasting and you almost think, what do they even necessarily have in common here? And then obviously by the end of the weekend, some of that falls away and they find their connection. But I think for the audience as well, we might find ourselves, empathizing or having more in common with one or the other. How did you create the characters? Was that something you kind of did independently, or did it also almost come to the fore as well in the process of making the film?
I'm pretty sure that was a team effort, actually. Sophie came to us first with her ideas of what these characters' backgrounds and relationships were with each other. And then Emmanuelle and I just sort of added on our ideas and we tweaked a few things here and there. And yeah, it was a very collaborative process for the character creation. And it happened in pre-production. It happened as we were filming as well. And yeah, it was a very alive process to create the characters.
Yeah, we spent like a day in pre-production up in Sydney, actually, just wandering around the local shopping centre that we decided was like our after-school playground, I guess. So that was really cool to we basically built what our relationship would have been like in high school and then just jumped forward 5 years when we sort of set the film and had this new space between us. That was really amazing. And I think what I am really excited by with the characters is there's this sense that you kind of see these different sides of them because there's the way they present initially and there's the facade and the mask that they show up with and the small talk and I guess like what they put up in order to cope with the world. And then you actually see why it is that they feel they need to do that and what they're scared about and worried about and sad about.
And what I was saying to Sophie as well, I kind of love the tone of it because, there are some serious issues, existential crises kind of simmering underneath, but it is still sort of light and funny. Did you have a lot of these lines in your head? Did it just naturally witty? Did you have to
No. No, we surprised ourselves. I think that was actually the joy, was she would be like, oh, and now if Em can just do the monologue about how the world's falling apart, and then you'd be like, yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
Okay, fine. I'll call myself out here. I remember at the start of the film when things are still a little bit more lighthearted and Jessie was still, a lot more comedic and cracking jokes and stuff like that. I do remember in between takes just sort of sitting out on my own, seemingly zoning out, but in my mind I was just like, what random stuff would she come up with? Well, what's the most random take I can do on this particular topic? and just, yeah, so some of it I was just like kind of thinking between takes, and others just kind of came out weirdly in the moment.
And did you have a favourite moment in the making of it? Or when you watch it back now, you're like, oh God, that is an absolute highlight?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, you're sure, you go.
No, I just think everything with the clown is to me emblematic of the process, because we met the clown shooting.
Is he a real person?
Yeah, the clown is the clown's a real guy. So we were
I didn't know if he was like a plant.
No. So we were like shooting in the city, and I spot in the distance a clown, and we were like, guys, that's a clown. We're all kind of like gathering around. We've sort of got this guerrilla crew just wandering around trying to like not, I don't know, we don't have permits. I don't know how we did it. I'm like, I'm just acting.
It was all
so
legal.
So we see a clown and we're like, this is great. Where's this clown? Anyway, we stopped the clown. We're like, hey man, do you want to be in a movie? And he was like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to be an actor. And it was this incredible story of a guy who had some extra time on his hands and like wanted to cheer people up in public by wearing a clown costume, and it was so beautiful. And then we took him on an adventure. We went clubbing with him. Shout out Jason. And we just had a really great time. And I think it was those kinds of things. Like, the thing I really admire about Sophie's style of filmmaking is that any constraint is an opportunity, and it also changes the way you look at the world around you. I think because the process of us making it, as well as just the way the camera exists, you become so aware of things that you would normally just kind of tune out as like the noise of the city. And so it meant that whenever we were out and about, like I'd lived in Melbourne for 7 years or something, and just kind of it felt new, and we got to notice all these lovely people like Jason, and yeah.
Did you actually have to steal his suit? No, you ended that.
No, we got another suit. We got another suit.
He was walking around.
Yeah, he was like...
He said he had his bell in his bag, sorry.
I feel like filming it and watching it, I have different answers as to what sort of stood out as a favorite moment. I remember filming it. One of my favorite scenes to do was actually that very last, like one of the last scenes. It was in the gardens, and we were back to that influencer vibe spot. Yeah, and I just loved filming that scene because it was so wholesome and authentic in what we were saying and talking about. Actually watching it back though, definitely the scene that stood out to me was that drum scene where Emmanuelle did that like crazy funny rap
with the microphone. Yeah.
And yeah, and just how that scene took such a turn as well. Yeah, like I felt it in my stomach watching it even. I was like, ooh, okay, ooh. Yeah.
And in terms of what people can kind of like go out the cinema thinking about, I do feel like it prods at sort of like, I don't know, is it a crisis where we're supposed to be more connected than ever, you know, with social media, etc. Yet people do seem to like have this inner loneliness, or even the idea that we're supposed to be very self-sufficient and have our, you know, what we want to do completely sorted. When actually in the past, maybe it was more celebrated, you know, to need your friends and need a community. And so it feels like a real ode to that, to friendship.
Yeah, I would say at the core of Jessie and M's relationship, it's these two people who have grown up together in school. We don't know, maybe it was like, was it necessity that put them together to be friends? Like, was it the circumstances? Would they have gravitated towards each other naturally? Who knows, right? And that's also real sometimes for our relationships in life as well, that most of the people that we're surrounded with are by circumstances as well. And, oh, did we actually choose this person? And it becomes interesting that when they do reunite after all of those years and seeing so clearly their differences and just having to navigate around that and having so many different opinions and the conflict that comes. And yeah, I think that's a very interesting exploration of what do you consider friendship.
And also, what do you do with your pain and your feelings? I think both of these characters see that the world is fucked, see that they don't know how to fix it, and that they're in their 20s and they're just trying to figure themselves out. And in the face of everything being so much bigger than them, they hold on to all this pain and suffering and struggle and confusion and can never quite find the way to connect with each other enough to recognize that they're both just feeling the exact same way. I think that sort of is part of the beauty and also part of the tragedy of the film.
And I was saying as well, you know, it's maybe slightly passé now, but like in the UK, we're always talking about like the Fleabag effect. And that did feel like...
I love you, Phoebe. Marry me. I'm joking, I'm not.
That, you know, it was kind of a watershed moment of having kind of a really messy female character who's not got it figured out, not always 100% likable, but there was some real truth in that, and doing it with comedy. And I feel like this is obviously an extension of that conversation. And it feels like, you know, maybe it can feel like one step forward, two steps back in terms of having women on screen. But this is definitely something that fits into that like cinema landscape. Yeah. Do you feel like that's true?
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thanks. I still love you, Phoebe.
But do you feel like there's more opportunities now to tell these sorts of stories and have these sorts of female characters on screen?
I'm always really excited by breaking down our ideas of genre and drama and comedy especially. I'm a really big believer that you have to open people before you can crush them down. And I think that was really deep. No, but I think it's really important I think you can't feel bad things unless you have a bit of levity. And I think that when you get people to laugh, it's the quickest way that they can then be open enough to actually feel something. And I think that is one of the things that I love about this film, and a whole wave of new female filmmakers is really that there's this sense of going, well, we all know the world is a little bit wonky, so let's find the little glimmers, and then that's where the pain lives, you know?
Okay, I'm gonna try to sound smart after that. That was amazing. that was an amazing answer. Yeah. Something that I absolutely love about this film and these characters is that they aren't, I guess, the stereotypical idea of what someone might think about a female heroine in a movie. There was no pressure for either of these two characters to look a certain way at any point in time. They didn't have to be ultra feminine. They didn't have to be super strong or super smart all the time. They could just be humans, really, because, you know, none of us are perfect, no matter what gender we are. And so it was just so refreshing to have two women just hanging out, being funny, smart, and philosophical at times, but also just having the room to be complete messes as well and not having their shit together, because that's also life.
100%. And just very quickly, what does it mean to you to have the film here at the Berlinale, being here for the whole experience?
It's still sinking in, I will say. We're just extremely grateful, and it's been an amazing time. It really has been. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just bonkers. That's cool, man. I don't know. I'm still jet lagged. It's like it took me like 20 hours. Like it's yeah. It's been great. Love it. Snow. Novelty. No novelty. Like me just like walking through the streets, being like. Like my camera roll is just photos of all the snowflakes landing on me because I just get really excited. They're a little one. They actually are the shapes. I didn't realize they had the shapes. I don't know what I thought they were.
Like a cartoon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Sophie has this amazing collection now in her camera roll of random snowmen that we have come across that people have made on the street. Yeah, it's great.
And do you already know what you're each going to work on next? Have you got your next projects lined up? You don't know?
I actually do a lot of work in the theatre landscape. And so a play that I've been working on called Trophy Boys that I wrote and star in, we just finished up an Australian national tour and we're opening off Broadway in a couple of months. So I'll be back home for a little bit to hang out with my loved ones, and then I'll be starting rehearsals in New York. So if anyone's in New York and wants to see drag theatre about a bunch of teenage boys with me in a little seedy moustache, Trophy Boys. Yeah.
Yeah, just saying now is the perfect time to watch such a show in the US as well. So definitely go. Go. I will give a very Jessie answer. Maybe I just want to travel for a bit. So maybe some traveling. I do a lot of dancing as well, so probably a bit of that too. But yeah, definitely open to see what comes up. Again, that's a very Jessie answer.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks so much for sharing all that with me, and really enjoyed presenting the film here in Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you.